In today's video, I give you 7 biomarkers that you should regularly track as a vegan. Roll the titles.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. As always, just a quick reminder that I'm now offering the SIBO organic acid stool tests and consult via my website. So if you have any health or digestive problems, then consider taking these tests, as they will provide a lot of very detailed information upon which you can start making informed decisions and then start getting your health back on track. And on that bombshell, to the video. So from the scientific literature, we know that there are a number of important biomarkers for tracking health and your longevity prospects. So I will quickly go through these, and just to quickly state, these will be in no particular order. So number 1 is your nutritional status. So as you should know by now, simply following a nutrient-dense diet, it doesn't always guarantee optimal nutrient intake, and this applies to all dietary types. There are many factors in the gut that can inhibit digestion and the assimilation of certain nutrients. So it could be gut infections, stomach acidity problems, or it could even be gut motility issues. Now, regardless of diet, every 5 to 10 years, I would recommend that everyone carries out a nutritional profile blood panel to see what their levels are like, or more regularly if you have certain health issues. Now, you certainly want to look at the important nutrients such as iron, iodine, potassium, zinc, and also B12. If you were being more thorough, then I would screen for all of the 9 essential amino acids in the body. I would look at your omega-3 and 6s. I would look at vitamins A, C, D, and E, and also the B vitamins. And I would look at the important minerals such as sodium, iron, potassium, calcium, magnesium, zinc, and also phosphorus. Now, I understand that some of you may not have the most proactive of doctors that will work with you, or depending on where you live in the world, then it may be very cost prohibitive for you to regularly look at these nutrients. For these people, I would recommend you familiarise yourself with sites like Chronometer, so that every now and again you can track your nutrient intake, so that you are broadly confident that you are hitting your nutritional requirements. Number 2 is CRP, and CRP is your C-reactive protein, and CRP is a measure of the amount of inflammation in your body. Inflammation, as we know, is involved in driving many of our leading causes of death and many age-associated diseases. Now, there is 2 CRP markers generally available today: the standard CRP that your doctor will order for you, and there is also a much more sensitive CRP marker called the high sensitive CRP marker, or HSCRP. On these CRP tests, a marker of less than 0.7 milligram per litre is considered as good, and anything over 1 milligram per litre is considered as being indicative of excessive inflammation. So just keep in mind, if you are sick or injured when you take this test, then it will show inflammation. So you generally want to take the test when you feel okay and when you are not sick or carrying injuries. This type of test I would recommend doing every 5 to 10 years, or your doctor will do this type of test when you are unwell as part of a common blood panel. Number 3 is LIPOCALIN 2, and LIPOCALIN 2 is also known as neutrophil gelatinase-associated LIPOCALIN, or NGAL, and this is released by various cell types and is a very sensitive marker for inflammation in the heart, for various infections, and also for kidney damage. The LIPOCALIN 2 test, though, that I would be most concerned with is the FECAL LIPOCALIN 2 test, which is a very sensitive assessment of intestinal inflammation that is very useful for detecting early problems in the gut. LIPOCALIN 2 would highlight potential problems long before standard inflammation panels such as calprotectin and lysozymes. This type of test, if you can, I would recommend doing every 5 to 10 years, or sooner if you have developed chronic unexplained digestive problems. Number 4 is insulin. Now, I'm sure that most of you know that the primary function of insulin is to ensure cellular glucose uptake. And if you develop insulin resistance, then you become less responsive to this insulin glucose signaling, and insulin is obviously implicated in many metabolic diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, and other age-related diseases. So if you are going to test your insulin, then I would highly recommend your fasting insulin levels and also combining this with a glucose tolerance test. These type of tests, as per the previous biomarkers, I would look at every 5 to 10 years, or again sooner if you develop any metabolic type issues. Biomarker number 5 is one that not many people will look into, and that is their heart rate variability. So just going back to basics, your heart rate is increased by your sympathetic nervous system, which is the regulator for physical and physiological stressors. On the other side of the coin, you have the parasympathetic nervous system, and this controls activities that occur during rest. So the variability between the heartbeats is indicative of how frequently your heart muscles are in a state of rest or stress. Now, to test your heart rate variability, you can obviously go and see a cardiologist, although let's be honest, they are unlikely to take an appointment when you let them know that you want to compare your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems and obviously your heart rate variability. But fear not, there is a much simpler way for you to measure your heart rate variability. So you can buy devices on the internet such as Oura rings, Whoop wristbands, or even an Apple Watch. If a person's system is in more of a fight or flight mode, then the variation between subsequent heartbeats is low. If one is in more of a relaxed state, then the variation between the beats is high. So if you have one of these types of devices, then this is something that is useful to look into. Number 6, which follows on from heart rate variability, is a measurement of your sleeping patterns. Now, we hear it all of the time that sleep is equally as important to diets and exercise for sustaining a high quality of life, but unfortunately, sleep is often underestimated. So obviously, a lack of sleep can prevent you feeling sharp and energetic, and over the last 10 years, we have learned that a lack of sleep can also cause and drive insulin resistance and also chronic inflammation. Now, you could pay to go to an expensive sleep monitoring lab and drop some big dollar if you have a pool full of money. Or if you are like me, then fortunately there is affordable technology to track sleep quality in your home. Again, Whoop bands, Oura rings or Apple Watches or many other similar devices will be able to track your sleeping patterns. This is very useful to track because these type of devices will be able to tell you the quality of sleep that you had during each sleep stage, and more importantly, these type of devices will allow you to pay attention to changes in your sleep patterns and identify how various aspects of your daily lifestyle impact on your sleep. So for example, you could have a week with coffee in your diet and measure your sleep quality, and then you could have a week off of coffee and see if there is a significant difference. And finally, number 7 is DNA sequencing of your microbiome. So as I have mentioned many times on this channel, that a DNA sequence of your microbiome is super useful for looking at your overall gut health. These type of tests will tell you how many bacteria you have in your gut, what type of bacteria you have, and also what impact this is having on your digestion. If you have very low diversity in the gut, then you know you are probably heading for digestive issues, or you already have them. The two best companies in the world are Viome and Atlas Biomed, and you can sequence your microbiome for around £100 to £200. So these type of tests I would maybe look at every 5 to 10 years or around 3 months after antibiotic use, so you can see the impact that this has had on your diversity in the gut. So that's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, remember to look after your body because it's the only place you have to live. And I'll see you next time.